And so
I'm still Art.
at this point, you know why we're in the game, how we like to do it, and now we'd like to show you what is Bitcoin. I know it's kind of a silly question because it's something that might seem like it should be answered before we start embarking on these kind of videos, or maybe even before you start watching them, but we can't assume too much. We have to make sure that we all are on the same page. And so I get friends that ask me, like, what is Bitcoin? And it's kind of hard to answer because it's a new technology.
Right.
And with new technology, there's always like new things to learn. And so if you're trying to think about it with like a 20th century mind, it's going to be really difficult. And so I'll try to make it as simple as possible. Bitcoin is a distributed ledger that records how much of this certain asset each person has in the world. And it's updated every second. And anybody can access it. Anybody can see it. Nobody can cheat it. Nobody can counterfeit it. Nobody can duplicate it. And there's only 21 million Bitcoin that are ever going to exist at one time. And so therein lies the real utility of it, because investments, like, nobody is making new stock. Nobody's making new crypto quite like the U.S. government is making new dollars. So we have to make sure that we get out of dollars and into hard assets. And Bitcoin is a really good one because while there's no such thing as a get-rich-quick scheme, Bitcoin is the closest thing that this generation has to a get-rich-quick scheme. And you can take that to the bank because I've already made money with it. And so I want to make sure that you have that opportunity too, because it's for the people.
Definitely. For the people.
And so I want to explore like why it works for me and why it might work for you. So Bitcoin is a really good store of value. Like I mentioned, there's only going to be 21 million ever. It's never going to be a single one above that. Whereas the dollar, as I mentioned, is going to be inflated into nothingness. Its value gets cut in half every 18 months, and so that's not very good. And so we need to divest out of dollars into some other asset, and Bitcoin is a really good idea because of the utility that it brings. Like, it weighs nothing because it's digital. You can transport it easily. Like, you can't get caught in TSA with too much Bitcoin on you. You can't be frozen by the government because it's not run by federally licensed entities. It's like we said, it's an inflation hedge. What that means is that if you have a bunch of money and you want to make sure that you have some assets at the end of the quarter or the year or the decade, you turn some of that money into an inflation hedge, which is Bitcoin or paintings or land or whatever have you, so that that doesn't go down, so that you still have some wealth after all the inflation happens. And other than that, there's clear upside to it. Like if you look at the Bitcoin chart, it goes up and to the right. And so that's the final thing that really attracts me to it, the fact that it can make us money. And while it can make us money, it's also those other things. And so it might be a little bit unpatriotic, but if you don't trust the government, it's the way to go.
Exactly. It's a degree of financial freedom because you can control your assets outside of the Federal Reserve's control. But yeah, man, Bitcoin, it's an opportunity. We're talking about what's in it for you pretty much, you know. It's like a store of value as far as, you know, having your cash is going to be going down in value. So it's better to put your money into something that will maintain or increase in value. And that's what cryptocurrency is. It's the future money that we're going to be using on Earth. So you also have, you know, it's easy to access. You can access it from any smartphone, pretty much, any computer. And like Litton was saying earlier, it's a 24-hour thing. The markets are always open. So you can trade or you can, you know, do your research and things all the time. But yeah, it's a great hedge against inflation. It's safer to use, you know, it's better than having cash. So that's the main idea is going forward. If you have cash sitting around that's, you know, losing value because of inflation and all the money printing, then it'd be better to put it in something like Bitcoin or some other crypto that you are interested in. And like, but yeah, that's definitely a lot of uses for Bitcoin. something to explore and do some more research on your own with.
Just in case this is a selling point for any of you out there, one other thing that people like about Bitcoin is that you can absolutely avoid the use of banks. You can have self-custody of your own assets. For example, you can have an address or a wallet, as they call it, for your Bitcoin, and you can have personal custody of that Bitcoin. Nobody else has it. Nobody else is touching it. Nobody else is lending it out to people without your consent or profit. You have absolute control over it. And that's really cool because real ownership is what creates sovereignty. And like sovereignty is what creates like self-actualization. And I suppose that's why we're all here. And so, of course, there's a lot more to learn about Bitcoin, but I just wanted to hit the highlights. And so I'm assuming because you're watching this video that you're already interested. And so I'm not going to waste more of your time trying to sell you on it. So I would like to move on to ways to acquire Bitcoin, or at least ways to expose yourself to it in the market, because you don't need to actually own any Bitcoin to make money off Bitcoin, but that's the way that I recommend doing it. But you make your own decisions. So what was your first way to acquire Bitcoin?
I don't know.
No? I think I remember mine. Mine was a KuCoin, and I bought like a tiny bit of spot, and then I started doing leverage trading because it seemed exciting, and I love thrills until I lost $1,000 in a day. And now I'm pretty much just buying straight Bitcoin and putting it in my bag.
Yeah. Did you know you can go to Coinstar, put all your change from under your couch in there, and you can get it turned into Bitcoin? That's one way to do it. But yeah, you can buy Bitcoin on exchanges. Pretty much you download an app on your phone, and it gives you access to a basket of different cryptocurrencies. And most of them will all usually have Bitcoin because that's the first one created. And you can just go on there and buy with a credit card, debit card. Some will let you link a bank account, and you can just literally transfer some money into your exchange and buy some crypto with it, and that's where you start.
Yeah, and laws are coming out now where all the exchanges require know your customer stuff, which means that you have to KYC, and that requires you to send them a picture of your ID just to prove who you are. I don't know, it's to avoid financial crimes or something, but be aware of that. Expected,
right? AML, anti-money laundering laws is what kind of plays into that.
That makes sense.
Which is at least that's what they're saying, why they want KYC.
That makes sense.
You know, but they don't want KYC for the billions of dollars that HSBC Bank is laundering for the cartels that they've been caught several times doing and have paid fines on. But they're still operating, and they're probably still laundering the same money. So this gives you a chance to get away from all that laundering and do your own banking and be legit and clean and crisp and
I have a
safer.
strong feeling that Art's going to teach you how to make your own business before this channel's closed. So that's how you get Bitcoin. And then so once you buy Bitcoin on the exchanges, it's going to be in your exchange account. Like if you go on the website or the app, it's going to show you how much you have there. And then we'll get to a little bit later on, but I want to talk about more ways to interact and engage with Bitcoin. So I understand and I acknowledge that it's a really complex environment and atmosphere, and you have to learn new words for new technologies, and you have to like tiptoe around making your first mistakes and maybe losing some money here and there just from newbie mistakes. So there's ways to get at it in the traditional financial sense, so where you can go through legacy systems and actually be exposed to Bitcoin. So if you go into the U.S. stock exchange, MicroStrategy, I forgot the ticker, Bitcoin mining companies, kind of like Clean Spark, and then Grayscale Bitcoin Trust. Those are the three ways that I know to access Bitcoin exposure through traditional financial means. We can do it on Fidelity, T. Rowe Price, Vanguard, what have you. You can get exposure to Bitcoin through stocks and bonds and stuff like that.
That's dope.
And so I just wanted to let you know because, like, no judgment here, but if you have gray hair and you just fucking hate learning new tricks, you can definitely still get in on this. And so, just like I said before, if you were to buy a Bitcoin on an exchange, you would see the amount of Bitcoin that you bought in your wallet on that website.
Right.
that brings me to the most important thing about this. Just like I said, it's a new Wild West frontier. Nobody knows exactly what they're doing when they start out. Everybody's scared of losing their stuff day one. I know I was. And so that brings us to our third and final point. How do you secure your Bitcoin? With $1, you put it in your pocket. You maybe put your hand over your pocket.
Right.
Put it in the bank. With Bitcoin, you don't have those options. So you're really fighting a fucking spiritual battle with all those hackers out there that want your Bitcoin.
They want that Bitcoin, man.
They want it bad. And so I'm going to hand this over to Art because I'm not going to pretend like I'm an expert when Art taught me everything that I know. So how do you secure your Bitcoin?
It's not. Well, Bitcoin, there's several ways you can store, like Litton was saying, on an exchange. You can have your money on your Bitcoin on an exchange, but you can also purchase a digital ledger wallet, which is an offline storage. It looks like a USB card pretty much. And that allows you to take it offline to where no one can hack it. You know, like if someone broke into your house and stole all your cash, you know, and you have your digital ledger wallet somewhere hidden, you know, they're most likely not going to be able to find that. Or if you put it in a safe deposit box or something, it's some places to store it. But I don't trust banks, so I wouldn't necessarily use the safe deposit box, especially with the time we're in with the growing conflicts around the world, with the military and everything, and the potential of greater wars breaking out. So keeping those things in mind, definitely get a ledger wallet. You can pretty much Google it. You can use the Trezor or the ledger itself, or you know, there's other options too. Some of the ledgers that you can buy don't have any Wi-Fi or Bluetooth capabilities, so no one can access it remotely, which is another degree of safety for your crypto. But considering everything is stored on a blockchain and the records are kept, your level of protection is a little bit higher with these digital assets than if you have physical property. So that's a good way to store your Bitcoin, is offline. Any of your crypto, really, the best place to keep it is offline until you're ready to sell it for profits,
Right.
or you know, you want to trade it or exchange it with something else.
So you mentioned Trezor and Ledger. Those are two brands of like a USB stick that contains all of your security data so that you can access it, you know, basically at the touch of a button. So if we had level 1, which is just leaving your Bitcoin on an exchange, and level 2, which is getting offline cold storage, the max level 3 security would be, so whenever you create an address, they give you a 24-word security seed phrase. And wherever you are in the world, if you memorize those 24 words, you can access your Bitcoin from literally any device in the world. And so if you have a good memory, you could get those 24 words, memorize them, burn the paper, and that would be the most secure possible way to ever remember it. I know it sounds a bit extreme, but I just wanted to mention because it is an option.
And if you have a photographic memory, that'll be easy for you.
Right.
But yeah, so we talked about what Bitcoin is, as far as what is in it for you, as far as, you know, store of value, hedging against inflation that's taking place right now and affecting everybody. We've also talked about ways to acquire Bitcoin, as far as exchanges or buying it directly on a spot ETF, like a spot purchase where you're just buying it and holding it, storing it. And then we talked about some ways to protect your investment as far as storing your crypto offline, which is crucial, because a lot of times with becoming wealthy, it's not necessarily just how much money you're making, but how much money you can keep, keeping it from taxes, from theft, from loss. You don't want to lose your wallet. And like Litton was saying, if you remember your seed phrases, then you lose your wallet, you can still access your crypto and restore it. So those are things that you want to keep in mind before you get started, so that you don't take the same learning curve that me and Litton did, where we've lost money just transferring crypto and one letter was off on the freaking wallet. Now $500 is gone. You know, I've lost some money transferring crypto before when I'm in my early days, not really understanding some of the processes. So those are things we'll go over too, so that you don't have to lose money in your journey getting started. And that's mainly what we're here to help do at the beginning right now, is to help you get started, help you help shorten the learning curve for you, so you can start making gains and reduce any possible losses that would be happening from mistakes or just from not knowing what to do yet. So yeah, that's what we've gone over. And I don't know. Anything you want to add for closing notes for this section?
I suppose that last thing that I wanted to mention is that there are going to be people that try to get your Bitcoin through social engineering ways. They're going to try to scam you. They're going to try to give you very attractive, very convincing grifts and schemes and cons. And if you just make sure that you don't send your Bitcoin to anyone ever, those scams can't touch you. It has to do with your consent. They can only scam you with your consent. And so that's all I got to say. Thanks for listening.
Right on. And at a certain point, we'll be able to go over the different exchanges that we've used, because I've opened an account on probably 20 plus exchanges, especially back in the day when the SEC lawsuit against XRP Ripple began. You couldn't get XRP anywhere on U.S. exchanges because they delisted it. So there's ways you can utilize a VPN to trade out of the country and still have access to crypto that may not be available in the U.S. or wherever you're at, whatever country you're in. So yeah, we'll go over some of those things in the future. And other than that, we hope you're having a great day. Keep stacking your money. Keep getting ready to put it on the sideline so you can invest in some crypto and change your financial future. On that note,
What song is that? Get it by any means, baby. Fuck the law.
oh, that's a good one, though.